IseeU founders Karen Nelson and Hayley Philander firmly believe that mentoring can powerfully impact lives. They've experienced this themselves. Both founders studied law at the University of Cape Town. Their legal training directly informed IseeU's focus areas, which include communication, critical thinking, interpersonal skills, and grit. Their vision is to see IseeU mentees pursuing a purpose-driven life after school based on the conviction that they have value and worth. Karen Nelson qualified as an attorney with an LLM in commercial law. Many years ago, she worked as a lobbyist to improve the tax environment for NPOs. As a result of the combined efforts of many, the Income Tax Act was amended in 2001 to make provision for the more favorable tax treatment of NPOs engaged in approved public benefit activities. Her career path took an interesting detour when she decided to focus her energy and skills on a family of one husband and 4 children. Arguably, she learned more than about managing people, leading an organization, and maintaining peace and justice, its law and order, than she would have in a formal legal context. Having grown up on the Cape Flats, Karen appreciates the transformative power of a healthy social network for a woman and her community. In keeping with this conviction, she focuses her professional energy on expanding IseeU's network. Through her work at IseeU and in an attempt to bridge the poverty-privilege gap, Karen lives out her passion for connecting people with opportunities and building bridges between communities. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Nelson.
Thank you, Dani. Thank you for that welcome. Thank you, IPIC, for the invitation, and thank you all for being here. And then I also just want to introduce my 2 colleagues over there. They're with me at IseeU. When IseeU, we see the value and worth of individuals. Our program is driven by our philosophy that each individual has innate value and worth due to them being created human beings. Our focus, therefore, is on the individual mentee's progress, restoring her dignity so that she sees herself as valuable. But in our deeply divided and complex country, do we really see each other's humanity? Or do we see people through the lenses of division, created by decades of separation? So it's easy to see or not to see the other side of Cape Town. Ours, I believe, is really a tale of 2 cities. It is the leafy city along the mountain which shields us from the poverty that stretches across the Cape Flats. And in the context of these gross inequalities, what we should revile, we rationalize. We reason away the gap between obscene privilege and abject poverty. We reduce life to stats and to hashtags. We try to find easy answers, quick fixes. But the reality is there are no easy answers. Decades of structural injustice has created complex challenges for our current generation. And these won't just disappear simply because the structures have been dismantled. It was in trying to understand the challenges we face that the broad concept of IseeU was born. IseeU is the story of 2 friends who studied law to change the world. Their frustration with poor service delivery, the unemployability of young people, and the huge gap between poverty and privilege led to a change in career, and may I add, a huge dip in salary. But jokes aside, instead of changing the world they work in has changed them. IseeU's story is the story of the brave young people behind the shocking stats, the faces behind the figures. It's the story of searching for answers, but before that, formulating the problem, asking the questions and not assuming that we have the answers. In formulating the problem, we encountered complex issues, layers of complexity. The question we asked was this: what sits behind the unemployment stats? At a time in our history when there are more opportunities available to young people from previously disadvantaged communities than ever before, were they unable to successfully access these opportunities because they could not or because they would not? What are the stats not telling us? The answer is complex. Our response was IseeU. But first we did some research. Throughout 2013, we met with experts in social development, youth development, and education. We met with corporate executives in the retail sector, trying to understand the challenges they face with entry-level employees. And perhaps their challenges would shed light on our questions, so we thought. Our research led to a theory which we tested in 2014 in Heidelberg. Our theory was that disillusioned young people will languish unless they are inspired. Badly educated people will lack the skills for rewarding work unless they are equipped. Obscured opportunities cannot be accessed unless they are explored. We emerged from our test phase with our name and a plan, our name, IseeU, because the test phase participant, for the first time in her life, so she said, felt seen and heard. Our plan was to mentor high school girls in Cape Flats schools, and in 2015, we launched our school-based 3-year mentoring program at Cathkin High in Heidelberg. We mentor because we were mentored. We mentor Cape Flats girls because we are Cape Flats women and we understand some of the problems. We emphasize the value and worth of each girl because we believe every human being is fearfully and wonderfully created in the image of our Creator. IseeU exists so that every mentee can know her worth and pursue her purpose. We do what we do because our faith in Christ compels us. We are all created in God's image after all. Secondly, with privilege comes responsibility, the responsibility to use our privilege. Thirdly, democracy demands engaged citizens. Our rights presuppose responsibilities. IseeU is about seeing the young Cape Flats girl who is seriously at risk of dropping out of school or becoming yet another teen pregnancy statistic. We are about addressing the inequality in our city, in our country, the legacy of an unjust political system. It is about deciding what can we do to create a country that is more just and more equal for all. IseeU is about building bridges between communities in our 2 cities, creating the space where we can really see each other. We are about connecting disconnected young people, young women in particular, to opportunities, and we are about closing the gap between those who have and those who don't. Our 3-year mentoring program is designed to inspire our mentees to value themselves and pursue their purpose, equip them with critical thinking, decision-making, and good communication skills, and to encourage them to explore who they are, the world beyond their community, and future career opportunities. A key component of our program is growing our mentees' social capital. In this room, we are all aware of the power of connections. I am here because I know someone who knows someone else. To not have these connections further alienates the already marginalised people. And that is why I love our annual Connect event where our mentees connect with people from across our city in a beautiful setting. Our vision is for young women on the Cape Flats to value themselves, confidently pursue their purpose in life, and positively impact their communities. We do this through weekly group mentoring sessions at 2 schools on the Cape Flats, soon to be 3. Saturday morning workshops with guest facilitators and activities and outings to introduce our mentees to new experiences and inspiring people. In year 1 of the program, the focus is on self-awareness. In year 2, we start planning the future by doing psychometric assessments with the mentees and arranging job shadows. Our research shows that a very small percentage of learners on the Cape Flats plan for life after school. It is no surprise then that so many disappear after matric. Our goal at IseeU is that each mentee leaves school with a roadmap for her future. We started our pilot program in 2015 with 4 grade 10 learners at 1 school. Today, we have 45 mentees across 3 schools at 2 schools. Across 3 grades, at 2 schools, soon to be 3. But we are most proud of the unseen achievements, the shy girl finding her voice, and the loud girl learning to use her voice to benefit others. Success is when our mentees can articulate their own definition of success. What more do we want to do? We'd like to provide academic support for our mentees. We'd like to introduce community-based initiatives so that they can be encouraged to grow into active citizens. And we'd like to connect our mentees with sustainable opportunities after they leave school. That is what we do. What are you going to do? What will you do to create a just and equal South Africa? How will you use your privilege to make a difference? I have one suggestion. You could fund one of our mentees. It costs 9,500 Rand per year over 3 years to provide her with program materials, transport, outings, job shadow opportunities, everything for 9,500 Rand per year. If you are interested, contact us for a coffee and a conversation. But whatever you do, do something. Use your privilege to make a difference. Our slogan was born out of the fact that I'm here today because I've been mentored. I've been inspired by many women in many different ways. I have been equipped. I was lucky enough to end up at UCT, where I got a fantastic tertiary education, and I'm a lifelong learner, so that's what I love, education, learning. So equipping is important for me, and then exploring. If all you know is the community that you live in, that's all you're going to believe is there for you. So explore for me is opening up the world to these young women and to see that literally the world is their oyster. They don't believe it when they come into our program, but by golly, when they leave, they must believe that. So inspire, equip, explore. That's what we do.